Hi, I'm Randy Alden with Post Perspective. We're here with BK Johannessen from Epic Games. Hello, BK.
Hi.
Welcome. There's a lot to talk about, so let's just jump on in.
Yes.
So what are you guys showing? I'm going to get to GDC, but what are you guys showing here at NAB?
Well, NAB is a broadcast convention, although we see more and more kind of cross-pollination between broadcast and the film side particularly. But for us, it's always been sort of a partner-led event. So we've been cautious about not being perceived as quote-unquote a traditional vendor. We don't see it that way. We see us as somebody who comes in and works both with customers, but also very much so with the industry in general. So we're here. We actually have probably the biggest delegation that we ever had coming to NAB. In essence, to learn and support our partners. So we have about 30 partners today that are here and actively is kind of showing off tools and systems they've created, services that they do that are based on Unreal Engine. So for us, it's really important to show our support to them, have dialogues with them, find the new ones. We always find one or two new ones that we didn't know about. Unreal is, it's an open product. It's an open platform that anybody can go and download. Anybody can create, new tools, smart things. So sometimes we don't know until we find it and we see it here.
I was going to say, you created this tool and then people went out and they started creating different works with it.
Yes.
What's one thing that might have surprised you the most that someone was able to accomplish with Unreal?
I mean, we've seen more and more of these kind of total production solutions, almost like a studio in a box, if you will.
Yep.
And a lot of those are utilizing LED. They're utilizing, obviously the tracking system. Some go with just built in, we have support for 3D straight in the product. You don't have to, do all that integration work yourself. So we find more and more of them that are leveraging a lot of the capabilities that we have spent, efforts on integrating into the product, and they build super smart workflow tools on top of them.
Well, and I want to get into that as well, but can you talk about what was new at GDC for you guys? Because I know that was a big show.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a talk in and by itself, because it was a lot of announcements that came from us. I think one of the really important things is we introduced essentially a new mode or a new tool. We call it UEFN, and what it allows is creators to create interactive experiences that are essentially hosted inside of our game. So you kind of get the entire ecosystem and the entire platform of one of the largest games in the world, essentially for free, but it allows you to create your own stylized experience. So all of a sudden you're not limited or tied to the look and feel of what our game looks like. You can make your own, and it can look exactly the way you want it, and you can have whatever experience or gameplay that you want.
So it's a jumping off point, and then they could go. It's almost like a template in a sense, and then they could go and make it their own.
Exactly. So they can make it their own, or they already have things, where they could bring their own assets that they might have already from Unreal, and they can bring them into a interactive world and expose them to a very large audience, essentially with a click of a button.
So it's pretty interesting, and one of the talking points of the show is going to be virtual production.
Yeah.
But a lot of people feel that virtual production is for the really big studios, and then they can't afford it. They need an LED volume. They can't use a green screen. Right. So can you sort of just tell people that that's not the case, and that they can take advantage of this technology?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And in many ways, a lot of people have already. You could argue that virtual production is not really about LED. We've done that also in green screen environments for decades. I think LED kind of comes in and introduces a level of fidelity that we weren't able to achieve, especially for broadcasters in real time in the past. So the LED meaning that it actually is real, it's real light, and that takes away some complexities. You don't need to have chroma keying and tweak the lighting to make the key perfect. On the contrary, you use the light from the LED as kind of natural light, and you get much more natural feeling of it, and reflections on talent and shadows and everything is real.
Yeah.
So you don't have to fake it. Of course, there's a big difference of building a 360 massive volume where you can drive a car and do like a big shoot. But we see a lot of people that even go to the extent of having just a large TV monitor behind them. When you add the tracking and you add that into getting the perspective behind the talent, it gives this illusion of reality. And that is really powerful. And we see that being used more and more and more. And I think, yeah, we're gonna have the really kind of high-end studios, but we're seeing that this is definitely something super relevant also for a lot of smaller ones. It gives a flexibility that they really haven't had in the past. At the same time, as they can, spend their valuable time and effort where it counts, right? And that's on the content.
Sure. Now, speaking of content, so you have a marketplace where people could go.
Yeah.
So they could sort of make what they want to accomplish. How many companies or how many offerings are there on the marketplace right now? I'm not going to hold you to it. There's not.
Because that's a moving target. It's very much growing, to put it like that. I would say it's one of the most valuable parts of the Epic ecosystem, and also particularly for the Unreal Engine. Making content is expensive, and it is hard. We need talent. We need really smart, good people that have excellent eyes for design. But we are kind of on a mission to say, how can we make it easier for them? How can we make it more affordable? How can we help them lift the bar and the quality of what they can do? And a lot of answers lies in giving them access to ready-made assets. That could be materials of like really high fidelity, high resolution. That could be 3D assets. You're telling a story about a helicopter incident. So we want to have access to these assets. Some of them we create ourselves. We create more inspirational stuff so that people learn how to use the product. But we have tens of thousands of content creators out there that are publishing their own assets on our marketplaces, giving other people the ability to utilize those assets. And that's really an area we are doubling down on, getting that really into the hands of content creators, making it really simple for them to use. That's really core for us. So also another kind of GDC announcement we made was that we were consolidating a lot of marketplaces we had. We had our Unreal Engine marketplace we've had for a long time. We also had Sketchfab, another 3D asset marketplace. We have ArtStation, a place where designers meet and show their work. So we have a lot of these discrete areas, and we're bringing them all together in a new tool called Fab. So that will launch later in the year, access to all UE creators. And that is essentially on the mission of democratizing how we can get really high fidelity 3D content out there. So
essentially, virtual production could be for anyone.
It can be.
There are the tools, so they can go out and create.
Yes, absolutely. No, and like you said, the tool is out there.
Yeah.
Anybody can go to unrealengine.com, download the tool, free to use. There's a lot of training material already available, courses they can take at their own leisure. There's also a healthy ecosystem of both professionals and academic partners that are ready to offer more hands-on courses. So I think the opportunity is there. We need to grab that and learn it, because skills are still the number one challenge.
So you must have a resource online where people could go and read about how they could work in this space.
Absolutely. So we have our dev community, which essentially is where the users of Unreal meet and congregate and share ideas and thoughts and pains sometimes too, but they're very, very active in terms of sharing their know-how. It's the area where you'll find access to all the training material created by us. That could be tutorials, that could be courses and online videos, but that's a great place to get started and also become a part of that community.
That's very cool. BK, thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure.